No open! Okay, welcome everybody. No open, because I can't think of anything. This is the second take, and I want to see if I can remember everything I just said. It got a little bogged down in because I was trying to get too specific when something that was needed to be more general. So, first up is reflecting on the channel. We're almost at 7 years. I'll talk about it more at that point. So, the purpose of why do you come to a video? Why do you go to YouTube? That is, of course, to be entertained or to be informed, I feel. If it's to be angry, that's more Twitter and Facebook. But, so you go to these places for these things. For YouTube, I say you're here to be informed and you're here to be entertained, or both. That's what you are. And this channel has always been trying to be both of those things. But the information I'm trying to give you isn't like useful knowledge necessarily, it's gaming knowledge. That's about it. So when we did the Smite guides, we were being very entertaining but also very informative. Same thing goes with the Overwatch guides. They were very entertaining, very informative, and I feel like I found some pretty good spots of useful information in Overwatch. And that's why I did guides for Smite and Overwatch, because I felt I had a really good angle and a really good lens to understand those games. Especially when I did the Overwatch guides, I could tell you a combo for every single opponent in that game that would work out. May's combo, of course, was very easy. You freeze, you shoot him in the face, and you punch him in the face. And then that got the kills. A lot of characters were like that. Of course, McCree was, stun bomb and then do the right click. Or eventually became stun bomb, then shoot them in the face because the right click wasn't as useful anymore. As the game evolved, those guys had to change a little bit. But there were combos that were very useful and very specific to different characters eventually. And also, I found the angle of understanding the damage on how a character works, whether direct or splash, and how many shots it takes to kill someone, which allows you to be a little more efficient. Like, say, Pharah. I found that the majority of the characters die from 3 rockets to her. She hits them with 3 rockets, splash or not, they die. So, it's like, you can shoot and forget. Like, you're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, I know it's going to land, I can go turn and do something else. Gives you a little more efficiency. Things like that were stuff I was thinking about with characters, or like Anna, who doesn't care about headshots. You know already with Anna, you know how much damage she do. You know with this certain enemy, she'll kill them in 2, 3, or 4 shots, maybe even 5 or 6, depending on how weighty they are. And so that was a useful guide I made, and I thought it was still really good. That's probably one that's most evergreen until damage points gets changed. Then it needs to get updated on that one. That's why when I made the jungle guides in Smite, and also just the guides in general, because people still look at the old guides, it was more about the mindset of the characters and the mindset of jungling, the mindset of the guardians, the mindset of warriors, of hunters, the mindset of how to play those characters, how to play those lanes, the mindset of how to do that, the instincts of that, more so than how to do it on the specific map is why those guys are still useful. Because they're about, unless they fundamentally change the kit of a character, these guys are still useful. Even though the jungle layout is completely different, I gave you the mindset of how a jungler should play, and that's still been very useful to new players. And that's why those guides are still helpful. And that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of the fact that some of these guides are evergreen. That they're able to be useful even to this day, despite not playing Smite for like 3 or 4 years. I'm happy with that. And that's entertainment plus information. We've been more heavily pushed into entertainment these days, and sometimes I'll give information on these vlogs. Just because, I like to be smart at times. But we're mostly in the entertainment area. Our information now is more in the form of podcasts. So you got the BAP, and then you've got the Kirby podcast. Both are a little entertaining, but they're mostly more informative, and I like that. I like the information we get out of there. We get interesting opinions, we get interesting facts. It's very fun in those podcasts. Whereas we're being more entertaining with the LPs over here and side projects. And an important thing I learned, there's 2 things I learned from recent podcasts. One is one that I've said many times, and I still need to do more about it, and that is advertising. The next podcast is going to be from the developer of a robot named Fight. His name is Matt Bittner, and the game came out 3 years ago, and was talking to him in reflection of that game. What did he learn? So there's a lot of information there that's very helpful to anyone who wants to make a game, and anyone who just made a game and wants to see about building their community or advertising. So it's a very helpful podcast for that. And it just reminds me that, yeah, advertising is important, because he said, when Robot Named Fight came out, there was like very little fanfare. He got PR to help him out with this and do advertising, and he was reaching out to a bunch of smaller channels and everything. And with that, he was able to get a lot of interest in the game. So for us, it's not necessarily the same thing, but it would be going to places that would be interested in Kirby, or interested in just general information with the BAP. and advertising in general. And so eventually I'll put money into advertising both podcasts and the channel. The channel itself will get advertised as well, but not until I get those two things in place. Not until I get BAP in a lot of places where podcasts are hosted. Kirby's in a lot of places where podcasts are hosted, which is very good. The RSS feed's all over the place. The only place it's not at is Stitcher and Spotify. It is everywhere else on the planet. The problem is the YouTube version got hurt by the copyright. So once the Kirby podcast on YouTube is back up to snuff, I'll start advertising the YouTube version of it. And I'll look into Twitter advertising. I think you can only advertise in the thousands, I think, on Twitter. So I'll have to double check that. If it's in the thousands, it's never going to happen. But if it's in like 100, I'll put in a hundo, okay. Because I want, of course, to have the channel get more attention. I found out we're the only Kirby podcast. We're the only Kirby podcast. We're it. I looked. Nobody else is doing Kirby, which amazes me because Kirby's, Kirby. There are Nintendo podcasts. There are, Xbox, PlayStation. There are podcasts for the main consoles, but there's no Kirby podcast. Kirby's been around for 28 years. There's plenty in there. So I guess we are the pioneers of that. That works, okay. So I need to get more people to know that, because there is a big Kirby community. Kirby games sell in the millions every time. So there are people to reach. I just don't know how to reach them yet. So advertising is my best shot at it. The other thing learned is, this was from Captain Dangerous, is to expand your art. Work on just getting better at your art from just different angles, or just doing different things which will help inform your art. And so in this way, it would be just doing new projects and ideas. At some point, we will do we will do Abridged Gundam Wing, but we're really busy right now with other projects and just life and work and all that, so that's not happening right now, because that's a joint project between me and Jynx, and right now our schedules do not match up. We see each other, a little bit on 3 days of the week right now, just only a little bit. So there's not enough there to really work on major projects. In the future, that may change, especially because after my back surgery, I won't be able to do anything but be at home for a while. So at that point, I should be able to, be around whenever Jynx is, and we can actually look into putting work into doing a big project like a Winged. At least putting some work into doing the Abridged. At least making headway on that one. We wanted to get something out this year, we'll see. But on the other side of things, there's also solo projects. So there's my project, besides the podcast, besides BAP. BAP is solo. Kirby is collaborative with Jynx. Everything on the channel is collaborative. The only thing solo is BAP. Kirby's is collaborative. And then another solo project I'm doing with a lot of support from Jynx, because I don't know what I'm doing yet. Eventually I should be able to do it on my own, is the high production amiibo tournaments. And this video probably won't be out until late September or October, because how much work is going into it. Once we figure all this out, the first time, I should be able to do 90% of it on my own, and then need touch-ups from Jynx to understand what I'm doing wrong or how to do things better. And eventually I should be able to get it rolling on my own, hopefully. And I've said it before, I'll say it again here if you haven't heard about it. So I'm doing a high production amiibo tournament. I've already recorded the footage. It was 1 or 2 Mondays ago I recorded the footage. And now I'm putting it together with high production, where there's intros for characters, there's fight cards, just all these different things. And eventually, once everything's done in the first one, it should be easier the next time's over. And the idea is it's this high production amiibo tournament. That's really what it is, where these 8 fighters go together, they fight, we learn about them as fighters, they'll have different playstyles because amiibos develop playstyles, that's what happens. And we can talk about these playstyles and how they can clash with each other, and how they'll work out against each other, and just what kind of personalities the characters will have. Amiibos do develop personalities. It's very interesting. And you'll see grab-heavy amiibos, or attack-heavy, some that smash a lot, ones that actually understand doing spikes off the stage. It's really cool when you see an amiibo do that, because oh wow, they're getting really smart. And that is the thing that can happen with amiibos. So I'm doing this because, of course, I like Smash. I'm doing this because I'm actually interested in amiibo development. It's very interesting to me how the limited AI can become something really strong. And just doing something high production like that, being an announcer, shoutcasting, doing all the production of it, should just be a fun thing to learn and make me better in general. It'll make me better at performance and just at editing, and that's a good thing just going forward in general for the future. And who knows what skills can come from that to inform other skills. Who knows? So now that I've talked about the channel, we're going to talk about politics for 2, 3, 4 minutes real quick. Because the vlogs are me getting my vent out. That's what it is. It's me putting out what's on my mind, so it's not weighing me down. That's what the vlogs are. 99% of this channel is all entertainment. The only place where you get reminded of the real world is right here. This is it. And that's the thing. I don't have a problem with celebrities giving their opinions. I don't have a problem with sports people giving their opinions. Like, I don't agree with all of them. Shaq, freaking Shaquille O'Neal thinks flat Earth is real. There's a lot of anti-vaxxers. Kevin Durant is an anti-vaxxer. Kevin Durant is an idiot, in my opinion, because of that. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about opinions. That is one person's opinion. And in my opinion on opinions, which is a funny way to put it, everyone has equal weight just as a person, because the world around them built their opinion. Be it as stupid as it is, or as smart as it is, the world around them built their opinion. You get their opinion, like, oh, okay, that's this person's opinion. And then that's really what you should take it as. You should take it as the weight of one person's opinion. The only time that opinion should have more weight is when they're an expert on a subject. That is why I did guides on Smite and Overwatch, because I felt I had a really good knowledge of those games. I should not be doing a guide on, say, like TFT. Teamfight Tactics I really enjoyed. I wanted to do guides on it, but I knew I wasn't smart enough to do it yet. So I kept working at it, but I realized I just could not grasp that game well enough. So I never did guides. I did, let's try to learn stuff with TFT, but never guides on it. So, if Kevin Durant... No, it wasn't Kevin Durant. I think it was James Harden that's actually a dipshit on anti-vaxxing. Yeah, I think it's actually James Harden, not Kevin Durant. My bad. If they've got an opinion on basketball, I will take it seriously. They got an opinion on vaccines? I'm not going to take it seriously. I don't give a shit what LeBron James thinks about freaking vaccines. I don't care what he thinks about flat Earth. I don't care what he thinks about any of this shit. I only care what he thinks about with basketball. That's it when I want to take an opinion seriously. Now, when it comes to an opinion on politics, like if he's like, of course he's pro BLM. He's like, that's the opinion of another human being. And I should take it as the opinion of another human being. Like, they believe in BLM, they believe in this or that, that's how I should take it. It's like, okay, this is someone who cares about this topic. All right, that's what I know. I know that's what they care about. Okay. The problem is we give celebrity too much credence. We give celebrity too much weight to their opinions when it's not the right thing to do. You should not do that, because it doesn't mean more than anyone else's opinion. A celebrity's opinion on anything political should have as much weight as your neighbor's opinion. A neighbor that's a stranger to you. A neighbor you might know whether you would grok with them or not about their opinions, and you'd agree with them more often than not, so then that would have more weight than, say, a celebrity's opinion. See, this is where I scripted the last video, because I'm trying to narrow this down better. The opinions of experts should be trusted more than politicians, and it's really frustrating when politicians are trusted more than experts. This virus is a big example of that. Hell, Fox News, and CNN to an extent as well, are guilty of this as well. Way too often, Sean Hannity is taken more seriously than scientists. Tucker Carlson is taken more seriously than scientists. And are you kidding me? These guys are opinion guys. They're not even journalists. They're opinion guys. They're mouthpieces. And people take them seriously. On the other side, you have people like that at MSNBC and on CNN, which is also very frustrating. Because I want journalists to be taken seriously, not mouthpieces. This is why I'm frustrated about what happened with Shep. Shep at freaking... It sounds like one of the Three Stooges. Shep at Fox. Whether you liked him or not, he was willing to take his stand when it came to political things. And he was being a journalist about things. That I appreciate. Too bad he's out. He went out because he was going against the grain. And that is something that is frustrating, is when people just want things to go with their grain. That literally feels like smooth brain. That really does, when you're not willing to have any challenge. Because when you don't have any challenge to your opinions and ideas, then you don't have any real defenses. And that's the thing I've learned over talking about politics is, at the start, years ago, I would just parrot points. And that's not good enough. You'll parrot points, and then if you actually get challenged by someone you actually care about, who has actual opinions you care about, you don't have any defense against when they come back at you. Like, you might just say the parrot points again. This is actually something parents are guilty of, I swear. Anytime I go against my father on anything, he'll just say the same talking points again and again. He won't go any deeper, and that just frustrates me. You need to be challenged so that you can find the deeper meaning of whatever you actually believe in. Because do you actually believe in it, or are you just towing some line? So when a person says you should just Google a thing instead of trusting what the CDC has to say, it's a bit annoying. It really is, especially with the most recent thing. One of the dudes from CDC, he's like, okay, we should have some vaccines by the end of the year, but it's going to be for doctors and stuff. And we won't be able to roll out the vaccines for everyone until next year, 2021. Trump's like, we're going to get it all right now. We're going to have 100 by the election. Who do you take more seriously here? The problem is everyone's taking Trump way more seriously than this guy. And that is a problem. You want Trump to be right, but we know he's never right, which is frustrating. Then over here is the guy trying to be practical. He's trying to tell you what's going to happen. He's trying to tell you the truth for where he's standing at the moment. There are pressures on doctors and scientists and things from politicians to say what the politicians want, which is frustrating, and because of that, you do have to take that into account. But there are so many scientists who are just trying to be apolitical and just get the information out. They're just trying to get the information out, and they're willing to risk their livelihood for it. And it's unfortunate every time those voices get shut down. So the last thing I want to say is Ruth Bader Ginsburg is dead. And the Republicans spent so much time preventing Obama from getting a nomination in the year of the election. He's like, well, we got to get a justice in there. What are we doing? We got to get one in there. And McConnell and the Republicans are saying, no, we're not going to get anyone in. We're not going to get anyone in. Wait until the election's over, and then we'll talk about it. That's what McConnell and the Republicans said in the Senate. Now here we are. So people were angry at people who voted for Trump, like anyone who protest voted and went for Trump and things like that. They were blamed for, like, thanks to you, the Republicans got to nominate 2 justices. And now it's 3. The Republicans are right now, as I speak, flip-flopping at the moment. They're saying, well, it's a different situation now. It's a different situation. We need to do this nomination now before the election's over. And that is bullshit. I can't remember how long Obama had. He had maybe a year or less than a year to get that nomination in, and they wouldn't let him do it. Trump has, what, a month? A month and a half? And they want him to do it? They want to stack the court, which they can definitely do right now. They'll have a 6-3 majority. And that will be very frustrating. But if they want to do it, they should do it after seeing whether or not Trump wins the election. Or are they going to be hypocrites? This is my problem. I found it very hypocritical to vote for Trump. And I was very angry with the Republicans in 2016, 2017. I mellowed out in 2018 and 19, and here in 2020 I've mellowed out pretty much. Because I saw that, okay, I guess there's a schism going on with the Republicans with all this stuff. If the Republicans are hypocritical about this, if they hypocrite in the biggest way, which would be this moment, and they try to get through a 3rd Supreme Court justice before the election, I'm done with Republicans for the rest of my lifetime. I just don't see me being okay with anything after that. Because that's a realm of hypocrisy that is too much for me. Standing on where I stand with being a decent human being and not being full of shit, that is too far. Now, voting Trump in the first place was too far for me for some things, but at this point, that's it. I don't know how you can see any honor in being a Republican after this point. Now, if you're treating Republicans as a sports team, fine, just keep doing that, whatever, you're an idiot. But if you actually care about politics, if you actually care about the government and all this stuff, this isn't okay with you. And I'm sure there's plenty of Republicans who are not going to be okay with this. But the ones they voted in are doing this. And that's just where I'm going to stand. If they put in a third justice before the nomination, I see no reason to ever trust a Republican again. Because that is too far for me. So that is the vlog. That's everything I'm thinking about right now. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully the surgery soon. So, I don't think it's TMI, it's just, it'll worry you. So, I'm at the point where my leg's going numb from my back injury. And so, I really need to get that surgery going. It's not great. So that was the vlog. I had fun. Hope you have fun watching. That's what it's all about, having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.